Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer, How Rich People Think. Today, we're jumping right in and completely dismantling all those tired cliches surrounding wealth. You know the ones. Most of us immediately picture flashy cars, designer clothes, and just endless spending. But here's the thing. True wealth. It's not about the display at all. It's actually this hidden, highly mechanical system. So, by the end of this, you're going to see the hidden patterns behind wealthy choices, and more importantly, learn exactly how to apply that logic to your own life. Let's get into it.
So why do wealthy choices often look, well, kind of strange? I mean, you've probably noticed truly wealthy people driving older cars or just completely ignoring appearances. On the surface, it looks completely counterintuitive, right? Like, why have the money if you aren't going to show it off? But here's the secret. The wealthy mindset treats money as a tool to shape options, not just a reward to spend. They're operating on a completely different wavelength than the rest of us.
The trap most people fall into is constantly asking themselves what looks impressive right now. But the true wealth mindset? It asks a totally different question. What creates control later? Wealthy individuals are absolutely laser-focused on building leverage. They are totally willing to look completely unimpressive today if it means secretly building this fortress of flexibility for tomorrow. It's a total paradigm shift.
Think of it like an apartment building with a massive backup generator. Now, on a beautiful sunny day, that generator doesn't look impressive. Nobody even notices it. But man, when a storm hits and the power goes out, the entire building depends on it. True wealth is exactly like that backup generator. It's the hidden machinery humming quietly down in the basement, keeping your life completely stable when conditions inevitably change.
Because wealth isn't just a giant pile of cash like you see in the movies. It's actually a mechanical system built on three interacting forces: money, status, and decisions. If you look at just one of these in isolation, wealthy behavior makes absolutely no sense. But once we deconstruct how they interact from first principles, the mystery completely disappears. You realize it's all just strategy. So, let's start with the very first force.
The fundamental mental shift here is realizing that money is not the end goal. Money is, well, it's compressed choice. Think of a prepaid gift card. The plastic itself isn't the point, right? It's the stored possibility on the card that matters. If you only view money as something to be immediately spent, you completely miss its deeper, systemic function, creating room to act.
So what does money actually buy in the wealth mindset? It buys time, it buys patience, bargaining power, resilience, and, maybe the biggest one, freedom from bad decisions. Honestly, a dollar's absolute highest purpose is often just to sit quietly in an account somewhere. Why? Because it gives you the power to wait out a bad market, or literally just walk away from a terrible deal. You're buying your own freedom.
Okay, moving on to our second force, status. Now, we usually think of status purely as ego or vanity, but practically speaking, status is what other people think you're worth, what they think you're capable of, or what they allow you to access. In the wealth system, status is a highly practical tool that literally alters the everyday mechanics of your life.
See, when used correctly, status acts like a VIP pass. It reduces friction. With a strong reputation, you get faster service, easier entry into rooms, and immediate trust. People just say yes to you faster. But here's the trap. Chasing status by spending money just to look wealthy, instead of actually becoming more capable. That is a dangerous game. That signals the appearance of wealth while actually draining the very resources you need to protect.
And that brings us to the third pillar, decisions. If money is the fuel and status is the current pushing you along, decisions are the steering wheel. Think about it. Two people can start with the exact same amount of money and the exact same status, but they will end up in vastly different places based entirely on the choices they make sitting at the helm.
Because direction isn't shaped by one giant lucky event. It's shaped by a repeated pattern. It's what you buy, what you delay, what you actively avoid, what you invest in, and absolutely crucially, what you refuse to impress others with. Building wealth is simply the daily discipline of protecting your future options rather than giving in to short-term emotional impulses.
And notice how these three forces constantly pull on each other. It's like a giant puzzle. Money creates your options, status reduces your friction, decisions shape your future. If any one of these is weak, the whole system wobbles. True wealth isn't about hoarding cash under a mattress. It's the careful, intentional alignment of all three of these forces working together in total harmony.
So how do we actually apply this day to day? Well, when facing an everyday choice, the wealth mindset doesn't just look at a price tag and ask, can I afford this? Nope. They They ask a hidden question. What am I giving up if I choose this? They are constantly measuring the invisible costs, the costs in time, attention, reputation, and future flexibility, because every yes is automatically a no to something else.
Now, here's a totally fascinating point. Wealthy people actually love to spend money, but only when it buys leverage. Leverage basically means a small input creates a much larger outcome. So spending is considered smart when you're paying for speed, or maybe hiring help to free up your own attention for higher value work. In that context, it's not consumption at all. It's an investment in your own capability.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine a family business owner who's just had an amazing year. They've got a pile of cash. Now they can go out and buy a flashy new car, or they can put that exact same amount of cash into a supply chain buffer for the business. Both actions use money, sure, but they belong to completely different categories. One is visible consumption, and the other is foundational building.
The difference between the two is glaring when you really look at it. That flashy car, it converts money into a present signal. Basically, it buys applause today. But the cash buffer, that converts money into future control. It guarantees your survival tomorrow when an unexpected squeeze hits. And wealth thinking always prioritizes tomorrow's survivability over today's applause.
So wealthy people replace those emotional buying impulses with calm, systemic mapping. They ask things like, does this create room in my life? Or does it remove room? Does this improve my leverage or weaken it? Does it help me stay flexible? Does this make my very next decision easier or harder? And listen, these aren't just rich person questions. These are mental upgrades, systems questions that you and I can start asking right now. If there is one ultimate mental model to anchor this whole explainer, it's this. Money gives options. Status changes access. Decisions determine direction. I love that. When wealthy people seem to behave strangely or cheaply, they aren't being weird. They are simply ensuring that their options, their access, and their direction are all perfectly aligned to build an unshakable foundation. So the core takeaway here is this fundamental truth. Wealth thinking isn't a costume you wear, and it's definitely not a luxury brand you buy to pretend you've made it. It's an empowering mental model where absolutely every choice is treated as part of a system designed to give you ultimate control. At the end of the day, it's simply choosing a less fragile future. Which leaves us with this final thought. As you step away from this and face your very next financial decision, I want you to pause and ask yourself, is this choice merely buying approval from others, or is it actively protecting your future options? Honestly, your answer to that might just change the entire trajectory of your life. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.